Hi everyone, it's Sloth here. Today we are going for a very meta deck. This one is from Mythic. This is from MPL to be precise. I changed few things, but not really anything important. So this is an Esper Doom Foretold deck, as you might notice. So let's discuss for a moment how this works in case you aren't aware of the deck. So the main points are Doom Foretold. At the beginning of each player upkeep, that player sacrifices a non-land, non-token permanent. If they can't, you just draw a card, enemy discards a card, you make a token, but that's not the main point. The main point is that the enemy has to sacrifice something every single turn. So this is a great removal spell, and it removes everything because it just targets permanent. So enchantments, artifacts, whatever the enemy has, including planewalkers and creatures. And this is also very good because we run a lot of removal, like Glass Cascade, Eliminate, Hearthless Act, so on. What this does is that even if the enemy plays around it, you can remove all the small creatures or the big ones, whatever, and then the enemy is forced to sacrifice what you want him to do. And then enemy is on the empty board, and if he plays something, then it will be sacrificed for the Doom Foretold at his next upkeep, so he doesn't really gain anything from playing cards. So he either needs to wait for one turn, which reverses the tempo and you are in advantage usually, and it also pops out, so you get a lot of small things, or he needs to play like 2 creatures a turn or 2 permanents, and then you remove one of them with all of those, and the enemy is again in this situation, so it's a very strong card. So the second important part of the deck is Yorion. So this deck is a bit of a hybrid because both Doom Foretold and Yorion play on the same cards that have on enter the battlefield effect. So they both benefit from the cards that stay in the game but do their main thing when you play them. So Yorion can blink those, this can sacrifice those. So those are two main drivers for the deck. It's also very good because given we want Yorion as a companion, it's 80 card deck, so it's great to have a bit more win conditions, and those two cards are main engine for the deck. So you want to draw them, at least 1 or 2 at some point. You also have backup Yorion as a 8 drop, let's say. Alright, so this is the basic. We of course have some sweepers, like 2 extinction events. We really like the exile effect on those, and also sometimes we can remove only the enemy creatures. So we have some creatures of our own. We have Skyclave apparitions, we have walls from the Birth of Melodies, we have Yorion, and we have one Dream Trawler. So depending on the situation, sometimes we can just get rid of like pesky blockers and things like this. So if the enemy has, let's say, a Lovestruck Beast and some 5-drop, we can just attack with the Trawler, then remove those, and the board is clear. So sometimes it's just one-sided board clear with exile, so that's great. But on some situations, Shatter the Sky is great as well, and even better, because you can get rid of everything. And of course, this is the best when you just completely fall behind and need to reset the board, which isn't always the case. This deck can handle its own. With the Doom Foretold removals, you can pretty much match a lot of aggression and just go for the long game. Alright, and we have one Dream Trawler. This is a one-off because the main point of the deck is Yorion and Doom Foretold, and this doesn't really synergize with anything, but this is standalone such a strong card and such a good game closer that you want to draw it at some point. And this is also one of the reasons for blue mana. Of course, the other one is Omen of the Sea, pretty much. You also have Seagate Restoration, but honestly, in the main list that I've took is the Miracle as a 4 copies of. So I think it might be better. I didn't play Seagate Restoration so far, and 3 blue mana is a bit problematic usually. So I'm not sure. It might be good, but it just depends. I didn't play a Miracle, I think, as well, so... But I think it just works better with the deck, because you have a lot of cards. You have Treacherous Blessing, which draws 3 cards, then you put Yorion, then it goes into battlefield again, and you draw another 3 cards. You have a lot of Omen of the Sea, you have Tomes, so usually you have a very good draw engine. Even Dream Trawler draws the cards. So, you know, at some point Seagate Restoration gives you more cards, but at this point you just prefer to have something on the board to close the game, because you can react to everything very nicely, but you have trouble dealing damage. The only like real damage dealers is Yorion and Dream Trawler. So I think 4 Emeria Core could be better. Of course, another big thing is Elspeth Conquers Death. It synergizes amazingly. At first it exiles then one of the threats that the enemy has, usually something you can't really answer with creature removal. Then the enemy has attacks, and then you can play Yorion and do it again. And then Yorion not only enters the battlefield and gives you a lot of bonuses, it also pretty much removes the enemy creature that he played with the first Saga counter. So when you play Elspeth, then the enemy plays another big creature, then you go Yorion, and Elspeth comes as a, you know, as a bonus. And then usually the game is so much swinged in your favor that you win. So this is another key card for the deck, and when the Yorion is finally killed, you usually take it back with the Elspeth and bounce everything again. So this deck is amazingly synergistic, and this is why the deck is probably one of the best right now. And it's a very controlled deck, so you have a lot of decisions, a lot of skills involved, which might be tempting for a lot of players that like control and think they can operate it well. So I really like this deck, I really recommend it. Just try it and you will love it. It's a very strong, very nice deck. So I think that's all. Probably this doesn't come as a surprise, so let's go to the games. I think you will like those. And please at least watch the last game. It's amazing against a mill deck, and that was a really intense one. So go for it, watch it. And as always, if you like the decks, if you like the games, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and it will help the channel by a lot. And also you get fun games, and you will get notifications as long as you press the bell. So if you subscribe, just remember about this one, so you can see when the deck is on. And it's usually daily, but sometimes it's more rare, so it depends. And without further ado, let's go into the games. Okay, so we don't see any companions, so we don't have a clue what the enemy is, what deck he has. Guarding our hand. It's quite good. We have tap land as the first play, then we have untapped land, and possibly this will be untapped as well. We have Sweeper, we have Doom, we have Draw. That's a very nice hand. But let's see what the enemy has. It always can change by a lot. Okay, so it might be some kind of Yorion deck. Well, not really, because he doesn't have a companion, but maybe it's just 60 card version of it. And we do want a land. So this will be untapped Swamp, probably. For Doom Foretold, very possibly. Okay, so something else. So probably we don't need double blue for some time. So let's go for the Tome. And we will see. I'm still not sure if this is aggressive deck or not. It shouldn't be aggressive because you have Emeria, but who knows. Like, some of the decks can be really strange, but I think I will try to go for the draw if I see possibility. Okay, so we have all the mana right now, all the colors. We don't get Yorion because we prefer to draw something first. Doom Foretold is pretty nice. We will keep the core. I think it might be useful, as this seems to be just a long game. I'm thinking about using Doom Foretold now. Though the enemy doesn't have blue, So whatever he plays, I think we can answer with the Doom Foretold, so let's keep it, I guess. We have 7 cards, so we don't want to use Yorion at the moment. Okay, and we say go. So I guess we just want to play a bit of lands and build up to late game. With the tome we have just more than the enemy. We have double blue for trawlers, so right now we don't need more. And at this point I think we might want to use the casket even. It's good on the board because it's fodder for Doom or for Yorion. So it's not a dead card in the board. It's actually pretty useful, sooner or later. Well, assuming he has any creatures, if not we just use it for Doom. And what do we want to draw? I think we prefer the tome. Because with Yorion we need to discard. And he has blue. Okay, so that's more of a problem. Okay, so this is something for Skyclave Apparition. That's interesting, what the idea behind the deck is. So many colors. So I guess the enemy liked that we played it slow, so he can assemble everything. He also has some removal, as we can see. Oh, and it's our turn. Nearly. So we will play something, so let's just draw. And we won't draw more, because we want to bounce it. Omen of the Sun is really nice. So let's go for the planes. We are actually a bit short on them, especially most of our deck are planes. The enemy has a counter spell possibly, so that's not great. At this point I think we go for the Doom. The first one. Okay, and it worked. Unfortunately we won't be drawing with the tome as I mentioned. Unless we really have to, but I don't want it. I want to bounce it. So let's see what the enemy does. He cannot of course use an ability because it's upkeep. Right now we can use the glass casket and then the enemy. Okay, so the enemy is going all in. So we probably used another Doom Foretold. The enemy is pretty tapped, though he has double blue unfortunately. I would really want to draw. Oh man. Because when we use the Doom Foretold, well, the enemy cannot use Mystical Dispute anyway, but he can use Negate. And if the Negate is on, it's not good for us. Though I really not sure if he plays it. But why would he get black? Well, maybe for Royal Science. Oh, it's a tough call. I will try it this way. And let's cross the fingers. He has something. Is it Negate? Negate is horrible for us. And this isn't. It might be the bounce spell. So into the Royal. But we can't do anything about it then. And I think we just go for the Omen of the Sea, because we might get a land, and we want a land. We didn't, but that's good enough. So, it's okay. That's amazing. Like, our life total is completely not a problem this game. So that's something I wasn't afraid of at all. The enemy cannot even play it right now. He can, but it's a bad play, I think. Yeah, like, we just remove it and he loses Ashok to Doom Foretold. So I think this is a game-winning play for us. We can go for Cascade. So right now we can do pretty much everything we want. I think we keep Elspeth because it's a very good spell. This spells that player sacrifices a non-land, non-token permanent. So maybe the enemy thinks it works, but it doesn't. So when we kill the giant, then Ashok dies as well. And they only have this nightmare thing that's not very scary. So I think we just go for the casket. Do we? Maybe we go for the apparition. We have a lot of things to sacrifice if we really need to. And at this point I think we might play Emeria Call even. I don't want Shatter because he draws a card then. So we are going this, we play life. We are killing the giant. We get a bit of HP damage. Then we finally get to Yorion. And we have Helpless Act, whatever the enemy does. And he has to sacrifice the Ashok. Even in case he had a flash creature, we can still kill it. So I don't think that was great by enemy to play all of those. It was way too easy to kill both of them. And he just feeds the Doom. So we get more and more value. This one is irritating, but we have 58 cards, so 2 of them doesn't matter. And I think at this point we just kill it. Well, we might use the Cascade as well. Cascade is great for this turn actually. So what do we want to sacrifice? I think the Omen. And Land is very good as well. So we want to use the Cascade first. The enemy has everything up. So at this point the Doom Foretold will pop up. It looks like maybe the enemy has counter spells, but actually let's let the enemy play. I don't want to play into counter spells if he has any. And we can use the Omen of the Sun and then bounce it with Yorion, so we just get a bit more value anyway. Okay, and as you can see he had something. So I think we just kill it right now. No reason to risk going to 4. But I don't mind Omen getting countered. So as you can see he has 1 card. That's a strange deck. It seems like kind of 5 mana control. And now we use the Elspeth. And we won't have mana for Yorion this turn, unfortunately. But I think we have this game in our pocket right now. So, we have a lot of mana, we don't need more blue. We need more white. That's something I didn't think I would say in this situation. Though, in case of Birth of Melodies, I would prefer to have 1 plains in the deck. Just not to lose out value, but I think it's secondary. Okay, and we will have another one. Alright, and the idea is that we go like this. And we go for Treacherous Blessing as well. Then the enemy has one attack. I think it's just a response. He didn't like have anything in the deck to draw into. Okay, now we draw a card, like 3 cards. Yep, that's great. And we don't want to attack, we have all the control over the game we want. Of course, Yorion would be a bit of a problem. This one isn't, we have Apparition for the Fairy. This card is amazing, I must say. It's so versatile versus everything. So we use the Nightmare for this, and Skyplate Apparition for this possibly, or we can just bounce with the Yorion. It might be good enough actually. Like maybe we shouldn't be like so insanely greedy. And okay, so this is 3 damage, so the enemy really wants to attack. He probably thinks about killing something important in our deck, like exiling key cards. I think he exiled 1 Yorion, yeah, and 1 Doom Foretold, so that's what he counts for. Didn't work. We don't block. And it's actually good that he attacked, because we can pressure the Fairy a bit. So my turn. Yeah. Ooh, this is nice one. We don't have mana yet, but this is nice one, potentially. So the enemy is pretty much all in, and after we kill the Fairy, he doesn't have anything. But yeah, at this point I don't think we should overthink it, let's just use Yorion. He also knows about it, so we have 4 mana except this. I don't think there's much reason to play anything. Let's just attack and see what he does. And that's great. Like, this didn't accomplish anything at all. Because he has to discard it, and phasing out maybe would mess something from our turn, I'm not sure, but that's the only thing I was thinking about. Yeah, and this is game. Because we just killed a Fairy. Well, we need to evaluate the impact of this Yorion. So we can see why the enemy is cooked. So we killed the Teferi with the Elspeth, and he still gets the tax of 2 additional mana for every non-creature spell. Then we get 2 tokens, then we have 3 cards, then we kill the Nightmare, then we bounce this so we can draw, and the enemy has 1 card, and that's it. So no reason to stay in the game. Oh man, this is not a good hand. Like, if the enemy plays 1 creature with 3 power, we don't do anything this game, especially if it's a creature deck with bigger creatures. Like, we don't discard anything from their hand, or nearly nothing, and this hand is insanely slow. Like, I don't know what the enemy is playing, so this might be completely dead card. I don't think we can risk it, so I probably will keep everything except this one. We have 1 Dream Trawler, so that's unfortunate, but we can shuffle it at some point. And this is way better. Now we have still the Nightmare, but also we have a lot of smaller plays. So we also have all the colors, so that's also something important. This will be probably blue, and this will be probably black. And in this setup, Nightmare can be a very good card. So it seems to be rogues. Either rogues or just a straight up mill deck. They are going really ham on the milling thing. So 4 Henges, 4 Evolving Queens, and 4 Crabs. So we already know 12 of their non-land cards. So let's go for blue. I would love to use the Elspeth Nightmare, but let's just not let him mill more than he has to. And this will be useful sooner or later, like he has 3 crabs. But I'm still not sure if this is just a mill deck or some kind of rogues with crabs. It's seeming more and more as a rogue deck. So right now I expect a 1/3 flash guy at the end of the turn, and it's very possible we kill it with Heartless Act. We could also wait until his turn, then use the Heartless Act, then if he counters it, because he might, then he will be at 2 mana, and then we might use Elspeth Nightmare, but he might have the second counter then, and that's not great for us. Let's make this land and just let's see. So do you have it? I think he has it. He doesn't. That's good, that's great. So then we would be able to play Omen of the Sea, and that's very good for us. And we also would like some land drops. If we get them into the game, then Yorion gets suddenly very strong. So let's see. I will wait until the end step. Maybe we use Heartless Act. Okay, so this seems to be just a mill deck without like any real damage creatures. And he doesn't want to crack the passage, so I think we are pretty free with this turn, because he don't want to use it. And Yorion is great, so I think we take both. Okay, and this is an important decision. Double blue would be Trawler, this Trawler, but at some point I'm sure we can shuffle it. I don't think the enemy has crabs anymore, but he might draw one, then we might remove it with Heartless Act. And we might do it in response to Fabled Passage, so then we don't get milled. So I think it's fine. And worst case, we just use the Omen of the Sea, and it's not bad either. Like, it's actually good, because next turn we can go for Yorion. Okay, so the enemy either wants to do something at the end step, or doesn't value crab very much. Okay, so that's a good play, for sure. And Elspeth can be slowly very good, so it's possible I will try to play it even. The Exile Graveyard will help it on with this, with those inventories. No, I'm still not sure if he has counter spells. Whenever I play against blue, I just feel like everything I do might be countered. So let's see if he holds priority. Yeah, he does. But this holds priority, so we still don't know really. I like lands. But do I like two? I think I like one of them. 5 is a magical number for us. This really seems like a counter spell though. I think we go for the slower play. This doesn't really... well, this is kind of wasted turn. We didn't play anything scary, so I think it's possible that's why there wasn't any counter spells. So let's go slow with the Nightmare. If he has counters, I think it will get countered. We lose one turn, unfortunately, but I feel it's worth counter spells, yeah, so he has those. So 4 of those. Holy shit, man. Like in 20 first cards of his deck, he already drew 3 of those. Wow. So he has 7 cards still. That's a lot. If that's how this card would work every game, you just go 4 of those every single deck that contains blue. Okay, and now the turntables. That didn't go very smooth, did it? Alright. So at this point we just smack the things, I think. We don't have much choice. I think it gets countered, but we need to start doing something. And if Elspeth goes into play, then we can play Yorion. Okay, so this is for black and probably drown the lock again. So man, he has it all. Like, he has insane draw. He has all the counters. Oh, and he didn't. That's good. That's what we need. So if the next turn it survives, then he's taxed. Then we can play Yorion. And if he kills Yorion, then this one gets it back. And if he doesn't kill Yorion, then, you know, we have a lot of value with those omens. I'm kinda salty about all those draws. Like, this is a lot of goodies. We can cling to dust, but we have 1 black, so we need to be very, like, honest about usage. At some point we probably maybe should go for the second black and not the second blue. Because Troller is quite far away. Okay, and he's still taking the cards. Oh man. The good part is that, yeah, that was the good part, that he didn't have the counter spell mana, but he still has it. Like, I don't think we can win. Like, he draws everything he wants and he has always a counter spell on top of milling us, so... But he didn't take blue. I think he should bluff it, at least if he doesn't have it. Okay, so I guess that's something. I think we can survive 1 turn of milling this. So let's make him pay the tax. The Yorion can start doing its work. Glass Casket doesn't really mean anything because they have second creature like this. So obviously the Elspeth doesn't do anything right now, but it still makes attacks and makes the game a bit longer. We won't be able to play land right now. Treacherous Blessing, I think it's fine. We aren't pressured for HP, so let's just go with those. Honestly, it doesn't feel like we have so much time. And at some point we need, like, library. That's a lot of things that we need to consider. We are attacked from the milling part and from the counter spell part. What did we lose? 1 Elspeth. Not worst. I think it would be fine to have Doom Foretold. That's not great either. Yeah, but we still get it from the Elspeth. So, right now we for sure want to kill the crab. This is the main threat right now. And if he answers with anything, then we use the Heartless Act. And at this point, I think we go for the Blessing, because next turn we get Yorion back probably, and we can bounce it, so this one is actually six cards for 0 life so far. So this can bring us into the card game, because he has a lot of cards. Though I'm not sure if he has counter spell. And yes, I remember about Cling to Dust. It's just every turn we need all the mana. So this one we needed for Treacherous Blessing. So the enemy is thinking hard. Two top is interesting. This is very interesting. Those cards are pretty fine. Doom Foretold and Nightmare are nice. Like, Doom Foretold doesn't like kill anything exactly now, but it just gives us some room to play. And in 2 turns it really starts killing his stuff, but the Teferi tutelage is a big problem. I think at this point I bounce the apparition if he doesn't kill it, just to get rid of Teferi. If not, we probably will try to draw into some other apparition. Yep, this is going off. So right now we are going for Yorion. We actually don't have other creatures in all the 20 cards. I thought we have something. But apparently we do not. So for sure this. And do we want to bounce Cascade? I don't think so. It's not very important. So this one creates 1/1, so it's not a problem. We don't mind 1/1, we mind the crap. And he cannot do anything about tutelage, so that's also very nice for us. Here we can go finally for the second black. Okay, and now the plays. What do we want? I think Doom Foretold is fine. And let's see if if enemy has counter, I'm pretty sure he will counter it. Okay, nice. And what this means is that we can go for the Nightmare. And this should help us. We don't really care about the order. So, first the Skyclave apparition, because this is a win condition for him. We have enough removal, but apparition is great. He will draw into more of those sooner or later. We don't need Shatter, we don't need land. We are ahead on the board and we will be ahead. We will be the aggressor pretty much. And that's a lot. Alright, so I think one extinction event for sure. Cling to Dust is fine. I will keep it. I don't want Treacherous Blessing, I think. Fabled Passage as well. Okay, this didn't hurt so much. I will keep Extinction Event just in case. Sometimes we might selectively kill the enemy creatures. We have Odd, both of them. So if the enemy plays something big, like Dream Troll, well, they don't have white, so they cannot, but you know, something big that we have problem with. Okay, so the enemy has a lot of cards. But whatever he plays, he doesn't have much mana this turn, and we will be able to see his hand next turn. And that's important. We are at 32 and the enemy is 20 life, so we need to push the tempo a bit. Possibly with apparition, though I'm fearing the tutelage. Okay, you got it. So right now we are just going for each other's throats with those nightmares. Okay, and finally let's see what he has. So I think we go for the counter spell, but in order to make sure what we are doing, we have 8 mana, we need to plan our turn. So I think we just kill it with Heartless Act. Then play. Do we care about card? I think we might. Holy hell, it's not easy. The enemy won't counter anything this turn. We could also go for the tutelage. But frankly, I usually get more scared about Drown the Lock. This draws a card, so it mirrors a bit if he double plays it. 3, 6, yeah, he can play a lot. But this way we make sure that our plays are just going through. We need to remove it next turn, so let's go like this. Now we can attack. We should be the aggressor, so let's go a bit more aggressive. Then we kill the crab. And I think at this point we want Yorion. It's non-creature, so he cannot remove this one. Even if he kills it, we get a lot of triggers, and next turn it will be better for us. And we have Cling to Dust, just in case. So let's think what the enemy will remove. He doesn't really care about those. I think we can do it like this. It's risky if we draw into something good, but if we don't, he has pretty much wasted the trigger for Nightmare. And yeah, okay. And he sees the Troller, but he cannot remove it. And that's what matters. And Troller helps us by a lot, because it makes a kill counter much faster. And our deck is slowly getting smaller. 30 cards isn't the worst, but it's not very many. I don't think we die of HP, so those attacks don't really matter. If the enemy plays double tutelage, it's very possible we go for Apparition and then Yorion. This way we can remove both. And we can still, like with Yorion, we can go Extinction Event, though it doesn't pressure him so much on the HP level. Yeah, go for it. It feels like Dream Troller is priority. We have mana to play it, so that's good. That's a lot of cards. Okay, so let's go for Plains. The enemy will exile our graveyard. It doesn't matter so much. And right now it feels like we are... like the enemy is waiting for the double tutelage and Into the Story. And this actually helps us a bit. Then Into the Story is crappy. So 3, 3, and then he has 3, 4 mana and he cannot play Into the Story. Frantic Research, Frantic Inventory doesn't work as well. So I think in this situation we really want the Dream Trawler. Maybe we just draw a card. Yeah, I think so. If he doesn't have Extinction event, he cannot deal with this one. Maybe we even go for the next Treacherous Blessing. We will see. So right now I'm really happy about the exile effect on the graveyard, because a lot of his cards work on this. Like this way, Drawn in the Rock doesn't do anything. Into the Story that he's banking on doesn't work, so he will have to pay 7 mana, and he doesn't have it, so it will be 1 tutelage. So this will be 1 tutelage, and this, so it will be 5 cards, so then we mill 10 cards. So that's far from over, but we really need to start going for the damage now. So this will be attack from the Dream Thrower, possibly with the draw, and then Yorion. So right now the enemy cannot counter anything. It seems that he only have Drown the Rock. Or maybe another negate. Yeah, it's possible. You rarely play on one negate, at least 2. So, what are we doing? And do we want to draw the card? I think we do. Especially we would have a land drop this turn. And of course we will draw next turn as well. Okay, so the enemy will tap our Trawler. So, what do we do then? I think we use Yorion, we bounce it, we bounce all of this, and then we draw a lot of cards. Yeah, we draw a lot. Though it slows us down a bit, but it's fine. Right now I'm thinking, do we have enough plays that we don't need additional cards? I think Yorion and Dream Trawler are the win conditions that we need. Yeah, let's just activate it with, let's say, a land. We might need triple blue for the Seagate Restoration, but we won't be using it, so not really a problem. And when we play Yorion, it can still block and gain us life, so you know, it's also nice. Enemy cannot counter it. Okay, he has 3 types, and I don't know how many of those he plays, but it's the first one in 40 cards of his deck. That's something we didn't expect. That's interesting. Okay, so how many cards do we have? 24. I don't really want to draw much more. We need this one to kill the tutelage. I think if we do anything, we just cry. We don't mind the HP. And that's a great draw for the enemy. That's amazing draw. So it's very possible he will get some draw effect, and he can mill us a bit. But so far, unless he can make us have 8 cards in the graveyard, Into the Story isn't perfect. And now he knows he can protect the tutelage, so he can go for it a bit. I must say, the enemy is playing it very smart. So so we need to be able to keep up with it. At this point I also think we go for the scrying from the Omen instead of a drawing, and we will try to draw only during the attacks, so we buff the Trawler, because we already draw a lot of cards in a different ways. So let's just scry and put them on the bottom. This would be great. This would be amazing. Okay, and he went for 2, and he can protect both of them. Okay, so let's just make some review. We have 1 Skyclave Apparition here. We have 2nd here. 3rd. Okay, so we have 4th in the deck, and Doom Foretold, let's check. 1, 2, so we have 2 of those in the deck. Yeah, like milling. Okay, so we just lost the last one. Yorion, so we still have double Doom. Let's go for the scry. Like at this point I think we are just going to scry with the tome. He discarded the drone. It's interesting play. But he still has the mana for it, so it's possible he drew another one to surprise us. So let's go for scry. I would really like Doom Foretold at this point. And I think let's go and sacrifice this one. If we get it, I think it's quite strong. And the question is, I think we scry also from the tome at the start. Because the enemy is on a 3-turn kill, and that's a lot. We have only 18 cards. So let's scry. And Yorion isn't bad. I guess it makes it a bit faster. It's okay, I guess. Let's try. Let's try it. Let's try it, mostly because it's a big creature. I'm not sure how much we bounce things, because we don't want to draw too many cards. First, let's attack and see what we get. And see if the enemy has any triggers. It seems that he has those. He knows about Skyclave Apparition, and he knows that we really want to remove his cards here. But we don't have much choice other than this. And I don't want to draw another 3 cards, it's just not what we want to do. So let's try to make it work, but I don't think it will. Like, he really tries to show that he has drawn the rock. Maybe he doesn't. And if he doesn't, we can use the Sky Noodle and then make rid of all of those, and that will be amazing. And if we do it... But what is this card? It might be into the story. So he thinks that... Yeah, so... I expected this is the Drown the Rock, because he drew another one, and when the enemy sees it, it's much weaker. But I think it should be for Skyclave Apparition. Right now he lost half of his milling potential. So I'm really not sure about this one. And it still adds to the board. Of course, if he drew into the story, so that's a nice draw. And if he goes for the into the story, like, That's a top deck that he might win game with. We could count how many he has, and I guess we will. So 1, 2... Okay, so he has 2 of those. It's very possible he drew it. And this is 4 cards, 5 with his draw. So if we draw another card, we are dead. That's super close. But as you can see, HP doesn't really matter. And I should scry with the tome, of course. We don't want to draw anything. Like, nothing except what we have to, with the trawler. I think even after the draw step, if we draw with the trawler next turn, we die. So we need to assume he has Into the Story. Because that's the best case scenario for him. Let's go into combat phase. Okay, it's not an instant, it might be a land. So we aren't playing any kind of draw effect. And Into the Story leaves us with 1 card. And we still die then. Then we still die. We could go for this and try to get Doom Foretold, then play it, then he doesn't have anything. It's not an instant. And given that's the only chance we lose the game, so let's count. He draws 1 card, we are at 8. Then he plays Into the Story, and we die. So this is the correct play, I think. And we only have 4 mana, so let's do it. And yeah. So we want Doom Foretold. And this way we can make sure that even if he draws Into the Story, that won't give him anything, because he then needs to Telech again. Oh my fucking god, he just gets the card every single time. Oh man, what a guy. So right now if he draws it, he won the game, but like we played it really optimally at this point, I think. So if he gets it, we just can't do anything with it. It was a good game. Oh, and we won it. Oh wow. That was so intense. But those counter spells, man, they really caught me off guard. Like, I expected negate and I expected the drown in the lock, but after half of his deck was gone and we saw it for the first time, that was a surprise. And still, I think that playing the Doom Foretold was the right call. Because we didn't see this was an instant, because counterspell of course needs spell to target, so that's why we got smooth with the attacks. But that was a huge possibility, he doesn't have anything. Milling 3 cards doesn't kill us. And if we kill this, then we don't die next turn and we win the game. So in the worst case we didn't get anything, and in the best case we just won the game that we would lose otherwise. So that was a very good play, I think. I'm happy with it. And remember guys, if you want more games like this and you enjoyed it, subscribe and like the channel, it helps a lot. And I think that will be the last game for today. It was a good ending game. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.
With